financial aid process should be filling out your free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA for short. We discussed this last week, so I'm not going to get into all of the details of it as it's recorded. So you can find out tons of information about this by watching our video from last week on the FAFSA. However, I do want you to know that you absolutely should be completing this every single year. Even if you don't think you're going to qualify for anything, go ahead and fill it out. It generally takes about 30 minutes to complete, and it is 100% free. And you know what? There are more than a quarter of college students that don't even bother with filling out the FAFSA every single year. And that equates to about $1 billion in funds that goes unclaimed. This is in the form of scholarships, grants, other funding the federal government offers, and it just goes unclaimed because nobody's applying for it. This is free money that you don't want to leave on the table. So again, I encourage you, every single year, you've got to fill out that FAFSA. That needs to be the very first thing that you do. It opens on October 1st for the next year. And some of the funds are on a first come, first serve basis. So make sure and fill that out as soon as possible. Okay. So you guys know, once you're accepted into the University of Tulsa, you are automatically considered for scholarships. And the scholarships that were offered to you upon entry, those are good to you for 4 years or 8 semesters. We say that because sometimes students don't take their semesters consecutively. So they're good for 8 semesters as long as you don't attend any other colleges and as long as you're enrolled full-time at the University of Tulsa and you meet the minimum scholarship GPA requirements. Now, if you have questions as to what your scholarship GPA requirements are, again, refer to our financial aid website or reach out to your counselor and they can help you with that information, okay? And if you're eligible for any state or federal grants, we automatically apply those to your account. You don't have to do anything about that. The only thing you have to do is fill out that FAFSA. So after you fill out the FAFSA, you may think that you're done, right? Well, the answer is generally no. Even after state and federal assistance, the truth is over 70% of college students don't have the funds to cover their college education. So today, I'm going to focus on what you need to do after filling out your FAFSA, and that is search for scholarships. So first of all, if you're in college, you need money. I know that. There's tuition, food, housing, books, the list goes on. So like I said, you need money. And you may feel like you're working like crazy, trying to go to class, trying to study. You might be working a part-time job. And then on top of that, you're searching for scholarships. And then sometimes you get to the point that you just give up. I don't want you to feel like you are the only one in this situation because you are not. Okay. Everybody is going through this exact same thing. There is money to be made out there. And oftentimes students either overlook the opportunities, they figure it's not worth pursuing, or they simply have already given up. But trust me, it is worth the time and research to go ahead and pursue this. Now, you need to have patience. And you need to know that scholarship searching is a significant undertaking. It's not something you can just accomplish on a Saturday or Sunday morning and be done. You really have to treat this like a part-time job. Like seriously, look at it like working 15 to 20 hours per week. No joke, okay? I would also encourage you to partner up with some of your friends or have your parents help you out, like I'm helping my daughter. It is a lot of work, but this helps you. If you're working with your friends, you can share with each other some of the scholarships that you may have read about or you may have found that might not apply to you, but they might apply to your friend because she's in a different major, he's in a different major, or they're a different ethnicity or something like that. So working with a friend often helps you guys help search for scholarships together. And then one of the other things that you can do is you can help check each other's essay work. Essays are fun, right? So you can help do that with your friend. I'm not going to go into that a lot because Mrs. McCully is going to talk about that afterwards. I am going to say that when you're writing essays, one thing I see all the time is you have to make sure the answers to the essay questions answer the question that was asked. So too often I see students submit an essay application with the same essay question every single time. And maybe you just tweaked a word or two and you think, okay, that works. I'm going to use that one for this application. Guess what? That doesn't work. Okay. Unless it is the exact same question, you need to write the essay to the specificity, I can't say that word very well, of the question. And you're in luck because, like I said, TU offers a great resource in their writing center. And Mrs. McCully is going to talk about that in just a second to give you some great tips and tricks on how to write some scholarship winning essays. So even though scholarship hunting can take some time, I do have a couple of tips to help you in your search and your application for scholarships. Some of these are kind of no-brainers, but it never hurts just to remind you of the basics. So like the first thing is, let's see if I can get it over here, maintaining high grades. This one sounds like a no-brainer, right? But seriously, many scholarships do require that minimum GPA requirement. So you're going to want to continually strive for the highest grades possible throughout your college career. Next, you are going to want to start applying to scholarships early. Scholarships deadlines vary, but some applications are due as early as the fall semester for the next school year. For example, some major national scholarships, such as the Coca-Cola Scholarship, the Dr. Pepper Scholarship, the Gates Scholarships, those are already closed. So to avoid missing out on potential scholarship money, you need to start your search early. Okay, this gives you time to make a solid plan for which scholarships you're eligible for, which ones you're going to apply for, when you need to apply, and how you're going to manage all of those deadlines, because it does get a little overwhelming. Okay, so now that you know you need to apply early, the problem is where to find the scholarships to apply for, right? So there's a few tips. First, I always tell students to, sorry, went too far. That's okay. To visit our own TU Financial Aid website for a listing of outside scholarship providers. This page, oh, thank you. Yeah. This page is updated regularly and generally provides scholarships from organizations and foundations that want to award scholarships specifically to TU students. So that needs to be your very first step. And it's laid out pretty easy on our website. You can see the scholarships listed there. They're sorted by your college, or they're sorted by military options, or even they're sorted for minorities. So that really is a great resource, and that should be your first stop. The next thing that you want to do is you want to ask around. You might be surprised by the amount of locally available scholarships. There really are a lot out there. Check with the church that you attend. Check with any clubs that your parents are involved in, like local chapters of the Kiwanis Club, large corporations, foundations, even your bank or credit union. Some of those offer scholarships. Applying for local scholarships is great because generally you're going to be competing with far fewer applicants, making your odds of winning much higher. So that's good, right? Now, generally, local scholarships offer lower awards, but don't let that discourage you, because if you win several of those local awards, local scholarships, those amounts do start to add up. I have seen it on students where they try, and they just get, $500 here, $1,000 there, and it adds up. So you want to apply for every scholarship that is available to you. So after you've looked at the TU website and you've searched locally, the next place to venture is online. It sounds obvious, right? But the truth is, it can be really overwhelming. You're going to want to make your search as specific as possible. Scholarships are generally offered in 3 different areas: academic, non-academic, and then other attributes. This is great because it's going to help narrow your search. You want to search for scholarships tied to your college major or prospective career, or you can search for non-academic scholarships, like your religious affiliations, any leadership experience that you might have, or community service that you've done. And then lastly, this one can get a little bit crazy, but you want to search for any other attributes that you have. Now, this could be something simple as searching for scholarships affiliated with your race or even areas of interest. But there's scholarships out there if you're left-handed or if you are short. And by the way, I can say that because I am short. So I'm just it's okay that I say that. But I'm just trying to tell you, there are literally scholarships out there for all kinds of things. And a lot of them go unclaimed every year because students either can't find them or they're not taking the time to apply for them. So again, you want to search for scholarships for anything that applies to you specifically, and you really might be surprised at what you find. As long as you're focusing on what makes you unique, this is a valuable strategy for maximizing your scholarship dollars and your time so that you're not wasting any time on looking for something that doesn't apply to you. Also, I recommend that you find just a couple of scholarship search engines and stick with them. Otherwise, you're going to be inundated with emails, and sorting through all the options to find the best ones can be overwhelming. However, I want you to be aware. Technology is great. It definitely helps students and families seek out numerous scholarships, but it also has a way for scammers to seek out and scam innocent families. As the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Also, if you see something that guarantees you money for free, it's most likely a scam. Don't fall for that. There are services out there that are going to claim they're going to help you get scholarships. You need to know that these usually come at a very high price and they yield poor results. As I said before, remember, no one has an inside track. Searching for scholarships takes patience, time, and effort. And so on the slide before, I had a list of some of the reputable national sites that we recommend to students. If you didn't get those, I'll go over them again at the end of this presentation. But those are some great resources for you, and they're very reputable sites to visit. But again, I recommend you only find 2 that you like and stick with those so that you don't get overwhelmed. Okay, so now that you found some local and national scholarships, what now? You want to apply, and apply. You want to earn as much scholarship money as possible. So you'll need to apply to as many scholarships as possible. Apply to every scholarship that you are eligible for. I can't say that enough. Now, you're most likely going to be able to reuse some of your letters of recommendation, some of your personal statements. So applying to a large number of scholarships won't necessarily be too time-consuming or overwhelming, especially after you've done it a couple of times and are organized, which is a key point that we're going to get to in just a second. Remember, to earn a significant amount of scholarship money, it's usually necessary to apply to a significant amount of scholarships. So even if you have a chance of earning a scholarship, even if it's just a slight chance, it is still worth a try. Okay, so in addition to applying early, the best tip that I can give you on applying to a bunch of scholarships is to be organized. I'm trying to click it. We want to be organized. Help me. Oh, this is fun. No joke. Organization makes a world of difference. First of all, you're going to want to make your life easier by keeping a calendar of scholarship deadlines. And if you can give me some help with that. Once you have a good list of what scholarships to apply for, deadlines are crucial. A missed deadline means zero chance of winning that money. So finding a way to organize scholarships is going to help you find and remember deadlines, and that is essential. Now, if you're a visual person, you're going to want to buy a calendar and write in red ink in big letters the date that each scholarship is due. Or if you keep all of your appointments in your phone, like most kids do these days, add the scholarship deadline in your phone. However, when you do that, you need to go ahead and add a reminder for the scholarship at least 2 weeks before the scholarship is due, so that you can ensure that you have all of your essays, all your recommendations, and any other things. All of that is ready to go. And the thing here is you want to avoid procrastination. Don't wait until the last minute to submit your application, because it has happened. We're well-known scholarship websites that have crashed at the time the scholarship is due. You do not want that to happen to you. Okay, next slide, please. Once you have your deadline set, as I've mentioned, stay organized. Seriously, this is going to make your life much easier. Maintain a file with important paperwork and information. You're going to want to keep a physical file and a file on your computer so that you can quickly and easily locate the items that you need to apply for that scholarship. Some of the things that you can keep in these files are your transcripts, your letters of recommendation, any personal statements or essays. You can keep all of that there, and that's going to help you because it'll all be in one place. Many scholarships ask for similar information, so keeping track of and reusing some of these items can be an excellent time saver. And the next slide. And since you're going to be applying for a lot of scholarships, it helps to keep a folder that's going to help keep track of which scholarships you have applied for. I've been through this with my own daughter. She doesn't remember if she's applied for the scholarship or not. So you don't want to apply for the same scholarship twice. So you're going to want to keep a file to know what you've already applied for, okay? Keeping yourself organized also means this is going to reduce your stress, since you're not going to have to constantly scramble for necessary information. So in your organization file, I talked about recommendations. You're going to want to have on hand several people who can give you a great recommendation. This could be a professor, your boss, or even your youth pastor. Some scholarships may only require one recommendation, but many of them require 2 or 3. Next slide. So you're going to want to be thinking in advance of who you want to write your recommendation. Now, once you have selected who you would like to write a recommendation on your behalf, you're going to want to make it easy for them. For example, supply them with a resume of your activities, your volunteer information, all of your accomplishments. Make it easy for them. Make sure they have a good understanding of your academic history, your interests, your goals, your direction in life, what you want to do. Give them a written explanation of the topics that are covered in the scholarship so that they can tailor their recommendation letter to the scholarship you're applying for. And lastly, you want to give them plenty of time to write their recommendation. 1 day notice is not enough. My daughter did that to one of her teachers and I wanted to kill her. So you want to give them plenty of time to write them. And then after they do that, next slide, please, you're going to want to thank them. Write them a note of appreciation after they have done this for you. Remember, they took time out of their busy schedule to do this for you. The least you can do is thank them for their time. And the next slide. Yeah. Okay. So after all of this, the last thing I can say is do not get discouraged. Even if your first few scholarship applications get rejected, you need to keep your spirits up. Remember, many of these scholarships have really early application dates, and then you don't find out if you were awarded them until really late in the spring or summer. So you feel like you're doing all of this work and you're not getting any payback, but you really are. You just don't know yet because they're not awarded yet. So keep your head up, keep applying. As Wayne Gretzky said, you're going to always miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So again, there's no secret tips or tricks that I can give you to earning scholarships. It really does just take your time, your dedication, your work, and your patience. However, if you keep at it, you will eventually earn some funding for college. I've seen it all the time. That's the entire thing that my office does. So I'm just encouraging you to keep at it as much as possible. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. McCully so that she can give you some insights onto how to effectively write your scholarship essays and some other writing tips so that you can win these scholarships that you're applying for.
Excuse me, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for telling us about the scholarships, first of all. And I would like to ask you that I'm an international student here at TU, and I have maintained a really good GPA. And I'm in I need some financial assistance. So what can you suggest me? Like for everything they say that you are not a citizen.
Okay, Sharoz, I believe that you're the student requesting the information. What we're doing is we're waiting until at the end of the presentation to ask questions. Okay, so once the presentation is completed, there will be a Q&A opportunity for all students. So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and hold your question until the end.
Sure, Dr. Thamara, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are we able to share the handout?
Yes, well, actually, hold on just a moment. And I would like to apologize to our guests. It seems Zoom is not cooperating with us today, so we have to do the best we can. Let's see, we do have a handout, and since there is not a chat feature for this presentation, what I will have to do is actually get back in. I will have to stop sharing for a moment and then get back in with your handout. Is that okay?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
All right, so I created a handout for you because I don't feel like PowerPoint's just aren't my style. They're not really writing center style. Wait, before I continue, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm Lily McCully, and I'm the Assistant Director for the Writing Center this semester. If you go into the Writing Center, you won't see me because we are only taking appointments online. And also because I'm primarily doing programming. That is my outline.
That's, ooh, not good.
It's okay.
Okay.
So I want to just lead with a few quick reminders about who the Writing Center is. Hopefully you all had a Writing Center orientation and have all been into the Writing Center a dozen times already, but if not, the Writing Center is a free service that is offered on campus for students in any discipline and working on any kind of writing project. So it doesn't have to be just something in coursework. We're happy to help you with your job applications, with your cover letters, with your scholarship applications, and we can help you with any stage of the writing process. So what we often see from students is that they come in the day before their item is due and they go, help, I don't know what I'm doing. How can I do this? And so I want to remind you that we're actually able to help you right from the very beginning. So from the moment that you have found that scholarship, you're welcome to come into the Writing Center and we'll help you brainstorm and outline and set you up for success at the beginning to kind of try and avoid some of that panic. So normally we're located on the 3rd floor of McFarland Library. So if you go up the stairs above the coffee shop, we're back in the back corner. But right now we're only taking online consultations. So we will meet with you on Zoom or whatever medium you're comfortable with, or you can send us and we can have an email consultation. You can send us your prompt and we can talk that way. And you can see us almost as often as you want to. We can meet with you up to twice a week, more so if we feel like you need more help than that, but generally you're not going to need us more than twice a week. So do keep that in mind. We have both half-hour and hour-long consultations, and we have our schedule is available from now until the end of the semester. So once you've written that beautiful schedule of all your scholarship deadlines, go ahead and set up consultations throughout the semester that correspond so that we can help you with that writing process. Because we're working one-on-one with you, we get to focus during those meetings on whatever it is you're concerned about. So anything that is going to help you become a stronger writer, not just grammar, which often is the least important part of an essay, but what students are the most concerned about. So if that is your big concern, we're happy to help you with that. But really start trying to push yourself to think about the global concerns and the topics of what you're writing about. So when you're writing a scholarship essay, for example, the committee doesn't really care if you fully understand commas. What they're most interested in is your story and highlighting what makes you a good candidate for this scholarship. How do you align with the scholarship committee's goals? So even if you don't know what help you need, we do. So we can help you figure out where you're having weaknesses in your writing consistently so that you can keep track of those and avoid those same problems in the future. My one piece of advice that I like to give students both in my classes and in writing center consultations is that when you receive feedback from a writing center consultant or from a professor, so like when you scroll to the end of your essay and you see those comments, keep a Word document of all of those comments so that you can go through and see, oh, every single professor has given me this same comment, and you can research and figure out how you can correct those problems for the future and just save yourself that much time and effort and stress in the moving on. So writing is exactly like anything else. You're not going to get good at it if you don't practice it. And whether that's scholarship writing or essay writing, I want you to remember when you're sitting down and you're writing these very intense scholarship essays and you're freaking out because you don't know what to say. And I can say this from personal experience. I was actually terrified to give this presentation because when I was an undergrad, I got exactly 0 scholarships that I applied for. I did everything wrong. And so I was like, what? Why am I qualified to talk about this? But in retrospect, I've helped a lot of students avoid the same mistakes that I was making. So the one thing to remember is you already know how to write a good essay. It's the same criteria writing a scholarship essay as any other essay. You want clear, concise sentences. You want topic sentences. You want to have a clear argument. So on that note, the only way to get better is to practice. So let's do that. Take a second and grab a pencil and paper or just something to take some notes with. And if you could scroll down to the bottom of the handout where we've got the prompts. Yeah. Perfect. So grab your piece of paper and I want you to very, very quickly, because you shouldn't be overthinking this, write down, we're going to answer this first question, what you've done. Tell about your most significant leadership experience and how it has prepared you for college level leadership. Think back in the last year and a half, because what you did as a second grade is probably really cool, but your scholarship committee does not care about it. So think about something that you've done in the last year and a half, 2 years, and jot down every leadership experience you've had, just quick bullet points. I'm going to give you like a minute to think about it. Okay, so keep thinking about what leadership experiences you could talk about. Focus on leadership experiences that are recent and preferably ones that are related to the scholarship you're applying for. So if you're applying for, say, the one scholarship I did get as an undergrad was a Native American scholarship. So I actually use that as the example. If you're going to get a scholarship for Native American students, you'd want to talk about your work with the TU Indigenous Society. You wouldn't want to necessarily talk about your work at your church bake sale. That may be significant leadership experience, and it would be perfect for a scholarship from your church, but not for this. So focus on things that are recent and related to what you're applying for. One chronic mistake that I see students making when they bring in scholarship essays for us to work on that you want to avoid is, rather than tell us a story about their leadership experience and tell us what they've learned, we see students bringing in a list of things they've done. That's a resume. That's not an essay. So don't focus on listing every single thing you've done. Focus on really explaining one specific experience. Make sure, no matter what the prompt is and what leadership experience you're focused on, that you're pointing towards how it's going to work with your future career goals. We're not looking, when you're on a scholarship committee, you're not looking for students who have this fantastic resume. You're looking for students who are able to apply the experiences they're gaining toward their future goals and see how they're going to help them moving forward. At this point, I would ask if it makes sense, but I can't see any of your faces. So tell a narrative, tell a story, be specific, include clear details, but don't worry about listing every cool thing you've ever done. If you weren't cool, you wouldn't be at TU. Like, we know that you have done things that are worth doing, and you're going to continue to do them because we've seen it in classes and with the work that you're bringing into the Writing Center. What you need to be demonstrating to your committee is that you know how to use and talk about those experiences. So this is something that just requires practice. Gonna sound like a broken record. Practice, 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 practice. Okay, so what will you become? How will this scholarship help you live your dream? There's a lot of variations on this question, but the important thing here is you have to have a dream and you have to be able to articulate it clearly. So I want you to take a minute and write one very clear, specific goal that you have for the next 5 years. And just write one sentence that outlines that goal. All right. So hopefully you have written down a goal. If you haven't thought about this, this is something that you really need to be considering as you're moving forward, because you cannot look for scholarships that fit your goals if you don't have any. And I know you're all big dreamers, so really take some time when you start your application process to find the words specifically that can help you clearly articulate those goals. So you should always focus on a goal that is somewhat immediate. So don't focus on, if your ultimate goal is to be the president and you want to like run for office by the time you're 40 and be the president of the United States, that's great, but it's not very immediate in terms of how is this scholarship going to help you. So try and focus on things that are somewhat immediate that you can see in your horizon so that your scholarship committee can see that you have a step-by-step plan. If you want to mention your big dream, you know, your ultimate goal in passing, that's great, but don't try and demonstrate how you're the most ambitious person in the world. We get it. Everybody is ambitious here. Also, you want to be really, really careful that you don't over exaggerate the importance of this scholarship to you, because then it just seems like you're being dramatic. which is fine, but that kind of just fades into the background when you're reading 100 scholarship applications. So what's really going to make you an impressive candidate is your clarity, not how well you exaggerate, like, if I don't get this scholarship, and this is a real example of something I really had a student write, that like if she didn't get this scholarship, she was just done. She couldn't continue with college anymore. And it wasn't true, because she didn't get the scholarship and she kept going to college. And it clearly didn't impress the committee any, just this very, very long essay about how it was this scholarship and this scholarship alone that could help her achieve her goals. So yes, be complimentary, but don't go overboard. All right, so who are you? Tell about an academic experience that challenged you in some way. So I want you to stop for a second and just jot down some notes about what challenging experience you could talk about. And again, try and keep it something that has happened since you went to college or maybe in your last year of high school. Don't focus on things that are too far back unless there's a compelling reason, like it really is the one driving challenge you've had in your life. So go ahead and take a second to brainstorm. So when you're talking about your challenges, you want to make sure that, again, you're specific. So rather than say, I studied hard, like, okay, a specific challenge for me was in my freshman year, I took a Latin class that like nearly killed me. I did so badly. I've never done so badly on anything in my entire life. I still I read a Latin inscription and like shudder. It was a terrible, horrible academic experience for me that I do not even have time to scratch the surface of. So it would be ineffective if I were going to write about that experience for me to say, so I studied hard and that's how I got past it, because that's vague and not really descriptive. What I would want to say is, I created a rigorous schedule where I did Latin grammar exercises and I went to the tutoring center and I did additional reading and I went and got extra, to every extra credit activity so that I could pass this course, all of which is true, by the way. And I still did badly. I still got a C. So you can, get your doctorate and still fail in some subjects. And if it happens to be writing that you're having a problem with, the Writing Center could be part of that plan. We can help you with that. And again, you want to reiterate how those challenges impacted your ability to meet that ultimate goal. And again, reorient your essay toward talking about how you're a goal-oriented person. Hopefully we'll find a way to get you this handout. If not, feel free to email the Writing Center or email me. You can find me in the TU directory as Lily McCully, and I will send you this handout. I could literally give a workshop on this every week and not get through all the things I can tell you about writing. I do want to just quickly tell you, never, ever, ever, ever copy and paste from somebody else's scholarship essay that you found online and just plug in your details. It's ineffective. It's going to sound disingenuous and it's cheating, right? It's plagiarism. Don't exaggerate your accomplishments or imply that you have skills or interests that you do not have. If you are deathly allergic to cats and you hate them, don't apply for a scholarship about why we should love cats. That was one of the scholarships I was looking at while I was preparing for this. It would be a bad scholarship for me. I'm a dog person. Don't rely on cliches, and this is not just for this kind of essay. I never want to read another essay that starts with "from the beginning of time." Also, like 1 in 5 scholarship applications have a Dr. Seuss quote in them. They're not relevant. Don't try and sound smart by using words you don't know. Focus on what you do know and demonstrating what a good candidate you are. Don't try and sound smarter than you are, because some of the smartest people use the most basic prose. I don't know if you're aware, but like Ernest Hemingway wrote at an 8th grade level, and he's considered one of the greatest writers in American history. So don't feel like you have to use $5 words to sound intelligent. Never submit your first draft. And don't, as has already been mentioned, don't submit the same essay for each scholarship. Change them. You can use the same outline, the same bullet points. You know, you have a set number of experiences to talk about, but you want to make sure that you're reading that prompt so carefully. And if this is something you're concerned about, if this is a problem that you've had in the past with scholarships or essays of just not meeting the prompt, this is something that the Writing Center would be more than happy to help you with. So I've tried to rush through that so we have time for questions. I hope that helps, and I'm happy to answer any writing questions that you have about anything writing related.
Thank you, Lily, for your presentation. Thank you, Tani, as well. At this time, I would like to ask everyone to unmute themselves. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask your question. We do not have the chat option available, so it will be first come, first serve, and I will actually try to manage the questions if it gets too much.
Thank you, Dr. Thamara. I have a quick question for Lily. So, Lily, thank you very much for the outline and for specific actions. Can you recommend a book or any resource to have as a reference while writing essays?
Yes. There's some really good resources available for free. One that I love is the Purdue Online Writing Lab. So that's actually the Writing Center website for Purdue University. They've been working on it for a really long time, and it's really solid. And it's especially good if you have problems with proofreading and editing, but they have resources for every stage of the writing process that are really easy to access. As far as specifically for scholarships, Kansas State University has a list of resources for nationally competitive scholarships, and it has a really great outline. In general, on being a better writer, there is a book by Stark and White that is considered a classic, and I can't remember the exact name. Let me see if I can find it. It's Strunk and White, The Elements of Style. And that's just considered a writing classic, good for any kind of English writing. I hope that helps.
Just one more time, Strunk and White. Can you repeat the name of the book? I missed it.
Yeah, it's Strunk. So it's STRUNK and White. And their book is called The Elements of Style. I personally like another book called Eats, Shoots, and Leaves. I think it's really funny. But it also, it repeats a lot of the same things that Strunk and White say. And you may know White as the author E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No problem. We also have a small lending library in the Writing Center as well.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions? We have a few
I would like
minutes. Mhm.
to have attention on my question, if there is any
Do you
answer to
mind
that.
repeating your question?
Yeah, so I just told you that I'm an international student, and what can you suggest me about the scholarships stuff?
Yeah, so when you were accepted to TU, you most likely were offered an international student scholarship. And again, that scholarship stays with you for 4 years. Unfortunately, TU does not give any additional scholarships after that 4 years, unless that we have a specific donor that donates to a cause. So for example, I was talking with Dr. Barthelus before this presentation, and she was saying that she has heard that, some students, while they're in school, they get an additional scholarship, but other students don't. And so some students have questions as to why. I was told that we get the scholarships that were awarded at the beginning of our freshman year, and that's what we keep for all 4 years, and we don't get any more. Well, what happens is we have donors that donate for specific causes. So, for example, this past year with the coronavirus, we had a donor that gave us money to give to students who had specific needs for COVID related things. So, if we had any students that reached out to us in the Student Financial Services office and said, hey, I have an issue with making my payment this month because of COVID. I lost my job, something like that. We had funds that were available to help them. We also have donors that give for specific things, and some of them are very specific. TU has a very large endowment, but we have to give based on what the donor says. So sometimes they're as specific as, I want to give a scholarship to a student from Delaware County that is a girl that is majoring in biology with a 3.0 GPA or higher, and something else demonstrates need. And so we have to meet all of those criteria. And if we have a student that meets all of that, then we'll award that scholarship if the student is in their sophomore, junior, or senior year, because we have that money available. But a lot of times students just don't meet all of the qualifications that the donor put on there, and so we can't award it. So that kind of answers your question as far as why some students get scholarships, additional scholarships while they're in school, and others don't. And it simply is because it's based on restrictions that the donors put on us. Now, as far as international scholarships and searching for them, as I was doing my research for this presentation, I found several different ways to apply for international scholarships. I didn't research them a ton. A lot of them involved, one, looking, starting with a country that you're in and seeing if there's any sponsoring organizations there that are going to give you scholarships. And then two, applying for other scholarships that you find online. And again, since you're an international student, that's going to be one of the criteria that you're going to want to limit your search on, so that you're not inundated with scholarships that don't apply to you. You want to search specifically for international student scholarships. And then especially, I don't know what your major is, but that might help you as well. If you plan on going back to your home country after you graduate, if your home country is in need of a specific job area, then that's something that you can search for as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sherry. That really helps a lot. I have a question that is like, when filling the scholarship application, sometimes they just ask you for the address, and sometimes it gets really confusing. Like, are we supposed to put our home address, or are we supposed to put the address of University of Tulsa, our dorm address? So what would you like to suggest on this one?
I would suggest on that one, it really depends on the scholarship and when you're applying. So if you are applying for it in the spring and you know that they're not going to award it until July, because some scholarships, I looked at a scholarship the other day, it was an ice cream scholarship, and it was the flavor of the month. And all you had to do was write an essay about which ice cream you most identify with and why. And it is open right now. but it's not due until July 1st. And so if in July 1st, you're going to be in a different address than you're at right now, then I would recommend using your home address so that you're going to be able to get the information. Most of the scholarships are what I found, they're going to communicate with you via email. Anyways, they're not going to just mail you something and expect you to mail it back. So your email address needs to be important. And what I find from a lot of students is you guys have a personal email address and you have your TU email address, and you ignore things that go to your TU email address. I don't know why, but for the financial services office, we only communicate via your TU email address. So that is one thing that you're going to need to watch. If you have 2 email addresses or more, make sure you're checking all of those, because that's really how the scholarship companies are going to reach out to you, is via email.
Okay, it is 1 o'clock. If there are any questions, we will hang around for a few more minutes. That way you can ask your questions. But I would like to actually thank our presenters. And before you go, I would like to remind you that if you complete our survey, and our survey usually populates right after you close this presentation, if you complete the survey by noon tomorrow, you will be entered into a drawing to win $25. And we are actually providing 3 DoorDash gift cards to three attendees. Okay, and if you have further questions, feel free to reach me at TU's Financial Wellness, and I can direct them to either the Writing Center or Student Services. Okay. So thank you again for hanging in there with us. I know this presentation was a bit challenging. Between Zoom and internet connection, it was quite challenging today, but thank you for hanging in and sticking through the end. All right. And as I mentioned, we will be here. If you have additional questions that were not answered, feel free to just hang on and we will stay with you until your questions are answered. Thank you again for joining us. And we will be meeting again tomorrow for those of you who can participate, and we'll be discussing credit cards. All right, enjoy your day.